Hello friends, now we will understand the setting out of a simple curve by Rankine's method, okay, or the deflection angle method or the instrument method by using theodolite, and in this case we are using theodolite also and some linear measurements also. All the linear setting out the measurements, all the linear measurements are carried out by using chain or tape, and the angular measurements or angular setting out is done by using theodolite. So we are having very precise angular measurements and setting outs over there. This is one of the most precise methods and generally employed in railways and highways while setting out of the curves. Now, what are the steps involved in this? If we look at this as the curve over here, the circular curve, that's my first tangent. Okay, so with respect to the first tangent, we define the first chord over here. The first chord that I will be calling it as the initial subchord. Okay, so first chord, and then I will be having the other chords which will be equal to my chain length. So first chord will be slightly smaller than the chain length, so that's my initial subchord. Now why is it done so? Because whatever is the chain age T1 over here, we round it off for easier or comfortable measurements. So whatever is the value of the chain age, we round it off to the next zero, next 10 meters. That is my initial subchord. And then we will be using the different chain lengths, and then finally whatever is remaining, that small amount, that will be my final subchord. So initial subchord length C1 is decided so as to round off the chain age for easy computation and demarcation of the points, so that we can mark the point F, H, I easily. The number of chord lengths are decided, that is C2, C3 and so on. Chord lengths are decided based on chain lengths and the length of the curve. Depending upon how much is the length of the curve and the chain length, so that is divided, so we get the other chords. And then the balance, whatever amount is remaining, that will be the length of the final subchord. So my total length of the curve is equal to the initial subchord plus the number of chains into the length of the chain plus the length of the final subchord. That will be giving me the total length of the chord, and that is starting from T1 and then finally it will end at the other point T2. Now what are the steps involved in this? Now look at this. Let T1 F H I be the simple circular curve, so it can be continuing from there, but the starting point, the starting initial tangent point is my point T1. So T1F, so T1F is my initial subchord, and as discussed earlier, this initial subchord has a length slightly lesser than the chain length, so this is lesser than the chain length. Now look at the sector. In the sector of the circle T1OF, T1OF, I'm looking at only this sector over here, T1OF. Since the angle subtended at the center of the arc T1F, T1F, the angle subtended at the center is 2 into delta 1. Since the angle subtended at the center of the arc T1F, 2 delta 1, is very small, this angle is very small, obviously the curve length T1F can be said to be equal to C1. So the chord length and the curve length will be almost equal to the same length. Hardly any difference will be there because the angle is very small, the radius is too large. Okay, this radius is too large and the angle is too small, so C1 almost is equal to the curve length over here. So we can say that the curve length is T1F is almost equal to C1. So if that is the thing, tan of 2 delta 1, tan of 2 delta 1 can be written as C1 upon R. Tan is obviously opposite upon adjacent, so tan of 2 delta 1 can be written as opposite, that is C1 upon this distance, that is R. So tan of 2 delta 1 is equal to C1 upon R. But since 2 delta 1 is very small, since this angle is very small, that is in terms of radians, tan 2 delta 1 will be equal to 2 delta 1. Obviously for sine and tan we are using the same principle. The values are very small. So if the angle is very small, tan of 2 delta 1 will be equal to 2 delta 1. So therefore I can write in this equation 2 delta 1 is equal to C1 upon R, or delta 1 will be equal to C1 upon 2R, where delta 1 is in radians. As I mentioned to you, this is possible only in case of radians. So delta 1 is equal to C1 upon 2R, where delta 1 is defined in radians and 2 delta 1 is very small, R is too large. Therefore, delta 1 will be equal to C1 upon 2R into 180 upon pi. So to convert into degrees, where delta 1 is in degrees, where delta 1 is in degrees and getting the angle in radians. So thus delta 1 will be equal to C1 upon 2R into 180 upon pi, these are in degrees, multiplied by 60, where delta 1 will be in minutes. So this angle is so small that it is much comfortable to convert everything to minutes. So that's why these degrees which are there, we multiply them with 60 to get delta 1 in minutes. Thus delta 1 will be equal to 1718.87 C1 upon R, or delta 1 is equal to 1718.9 C1 upon R, where this delta 1 is in minutes. Now what is this important relationship telling me? This important relationship tells me that if I know the value of this, the length of this chord C1, the value of the length of the chord C1, and if I know the radius of the circle, so C1 I know and radius I know, I can easily get the angle delta. I can easily get the angle delta. Here it is 2 delta, so angle delta, which will be in minutes. Now look at it. The angle delta is this delta, and this is 2 delta. So the angle delta, that is delta 1 over here, we can get it in terms of minutes. We can calculate easily. Now look at this. The geometry of this is so important that this is the sector, this is the arc which is cut by this angle. This angle is 2 delta 1 here. Obviously if tangent is there here and this line is there, this angle over here will be delta 1. This angle is delta 1, and obviously between this point and this point, the angle subtended at the center will be 2 times delta 1. So that's why it is 2 times delta 1. Now what is the value of this delta 1? If I know this length C1 and if I know this length of the radius R, easily this delta 1 can be calculated. So that's how the value of delta 1, that angle, is calculated, and this delta 1 calculated over here is in minutes. Continuing further, we find that's the same line. So delta 1 we have already calculated over here. Delta 1 is 1718.87 C1 upon R. Now to locate the point F. To locate the point F, what we do is we establish our theodolite over here at the point T1. We establish our theodolite at the point T1, and with respect to this line, with respect to the tangent, I set an angle of delta 1 on the theodolite. I set the angle of delta 1 on the theodolite. With this as 0, I move this way and I set an angle of delta 1 on the theodolite. So that means my telescope is in this direction and I can see in this direction. Now knowing the length C1, with the help of a tape, measure the distance C1 from T1. So from here, with the tape, measure the length C1 from T1 and hold the ranging rod over here in such a manner that this distance becomes C1, and through the telescope the ranging rod gets bisected. Through the telescope, when the ranging rod gets bisected, means I have got the angle as delta 1, and through this, at the end of this, if I'm keeping the ranging rod over here, that means the length is C1. That means I've got well defined my point F over there. Let me just repeat the process. What we do over here: first I set up the theodolite over here at the point T1. I make the vernier A as 0. I have been looking in this direction. Now I set up the vernier A as delta 1 angle over here on the vernier. After setting up, I clamp all the screws. That means my telescope is looking in this direction. Now I take the tape, and from T1 I measure the length equal to C1. I measure the length and hold the ranging rod at the end of C1 in such a manner that through the telescope I see the ranging rod, and at the end of the tape I have the ranging rod. So with this I know that I have defined my point F over here. Now I have to go to the point H over here. Now in order to go to the point H over here, I know this length. I know this length as my chord length. I know the length C2 as my chord length. If I know the length of the chord, and if I know the radius over here, substitute in this formula, delta 2 is equal to 1718.9 into chord length divided by radius, I will be getting the value of delta 2. So I'm getting this angle delta 2 over here, which caters to this particular chord length. Now I have got my 0 over here. This is delta 1. So to this add delta 2. If I add delta 2 and set up my theodolite, so delta 1 plus delta 2, I will be getting my telescope looking in this direction. My telescope will be looking in T1 H direction. Now what I do is at the point F, I put a chain, the chain length. At the end of the chain, I hold the ranging rod. The ranging rod is held in such a manner that it is standing at the end of the chain from F. From F, it is standing at the end of the chain, and at the same time from T1, it is coming within the line of sight. So that's how I get the point H. To locate the next point, again it is equal to 1 chord length, same formula, same delta. So another delta 3, I add to delta 1 and delta 2. So my telescope is looking in this direction. And from the point H, I pull the chain and I hold the ranging rod at the point I in such a manner that from T1, the telescope, I can see the point I, and from H it stands at the end of it. This is the way I go on choosing and marking all the points. So similarly I will be marking my last point, and when I mark the last point, the last point has a final subchord which is having a different length. So I calculate that angle and then add that angle over there and then mark that point. This is how I will be getting all the points, and all these points will be defining the curve for me. So it will be joining T1 and finally the point T2. This is how we do the setting out of a simple curve by the Rankine's method. Thank you.